on the bench is another Kenmore Model 59. This is the 591. The last one I had was a 592, and the difference is mainly these control buttons. 592 had red plastic knobs, and the 591 here has metal controls. This is also an Imperial Rotary, and I forget what the 592 is, if it's a Ultimate Rotary or something, but they're the same machine, just a few different modifications. This machine also needs to be rewired. Let's get the plug in here. You can see that's an old style plug, and in the middle it's got all the bare wires there. That plug shorted out when it got plugged in. It sparked because those wires have lost enough insulation, they're touching each other. So that's the important part to be looking for when you are checking these over. And then you can see, hopefully, the dry rot on that cord. So the old cord is dry rotted. Inside the plug is bare wire. The light fixture is already off, but the fixture here had all bare wire inside the case, so that was, this is the wire that was inside the case, all rotted out. So I'll be doing another rewire job on a Kenmore Model 59. Okay, the lamp on the 59 again. It's got one screw here holding it on the back side. A screw hiding in by the bulb, so we gotta pull our bulb out. When you go to replace your bulb and you're looking for an LED lamp, these are the large screw bases, and that is an E17 base. And then you just have to make sure that whatever bulb you get is shorter than this so it will fit in there, because there's low clearance on these fixtures. So you can't get any tubular or extra long bulbs. They won't sneak up in. Pop the top off there. And this wire is all rotted and gross, so I'm just going to cut that off. And there doesn't seem to be any rotten insulation inside, so we don't have to worry about that. And pull our insulating cardboard off. Loosen the two screws here. And, oh, didn't mean for that screw to come all the way out, but I guess it did, so we'll work with it. Get our first connection in. Get that screw started back in on the side of the lamp. There. That is that. Put our cardboard back on. Run the new wire up through this tube. Switch is what sets in, holds the fixture location. We'll pop our cover back on and put our 2 screws in. And then when this, I'm going to try fishing this through the machine from the other direction, because remember, if you look at the video, the first one of these I did, I fished it from the back side out to the lamp fixture, and I think I will try fishing it from the fixture in through the body now. And this bulb is filthy, but it seems to be okay, so put that back in, because this is a shop job, not one of the free machines that I was working on, so I'm not going to replace that bulb because it'll get charged out to the original owner here, or the customer rather. I don't know if they're the original owner. And then the other thing to do on this real quick, at some point this machine was in a heavy smoking household, because it's got cigarette, secondhand smoke, tarry, dust all over it. These grease cups on the motor here. Those are all crusty. Well, we'll clean those and get those back on too, but here's the tail for the lamp fixture to get attached to, which we'll have to do with the motor closer to the machine. And then I'm going to grab the controller here. And the plug socket and the wiring to the socket seem to be cloth covered, and cloth covered wiring survives better than the old rubber wiring did. So we may not need to replace that, but we will need to open this. Oh, they got several screws loose on this before they brought it in. Where did that come from? Oh, those two. All right. Well, let's see. Oh, and there's a lot of. Okay. Oh, and somebody tried to open this and missed the correct screws. Well, let's get the end cover off this controller and then see how many screws are missing from inside this, and what I gotta find for replacement hardware. So saying the cloth covered wiring typically survives a little better than the plain rubber wiring of this era. So if it's not visibly damaged on the outside, oh yeah, you can see this cloth covered harness is just fine in here. Unfortunately, because these other screws popped out, I'm going to have to open this entirely in order to figure out how to get the rest of it put back together. Let's see now. Well, and this is not staying put. I'm going to need to find a second pair of pliers so that I don't get these screws to spin out the wrong way. Yeah, no. I'm going to have to use 2 pliers or 2 wrenches because there's a stack of nuts here and they're not fastened on the backside tightly. Save our cover there, or our washer or grommet for that spot. And let's see what kind of... Okay, this is a crimp together case, so I will need to set this and gently tap those tabs, and now this pops apart. And oh, come on, you. There. Oh. So these loose screws from the back are the ones that hold this bracket in place, and then that's the controller bracket. So I need to figure out how many of these... I need to find out where the other nut went for these. One is stuck on here, so that's good at least. So since that's still in place, we'll just tighten that up a bit so that it doesn't lose track, and then I think I'm going to have to get some to fasten it. But I need to figure out where the nut and washer that's missing out of here went, because we don't want the spare nut and washer flapping around inside here at all. There it is. There's the washer, and I don't hear the nut going around in there. So let's go figure that out. I found the nuts and washers for this bracket, or for holding the speed controller back together, or what was that, the resistor block? That's what's getting held in place here. So with those in place, the control arm has this fiber slider, and I'm actually going to apply a drop of oil to that slider. So that it can not squeak so much. There we go. Anyhow, that block goes on this pin, so when you reassemble this, you have to not just line up the tabs to slide together, but also get that slide into place. All right, now, okay. These two holes here let you peer in and see if the wiper is moving. The wiper is moving, so this has been put together properly, and to get with these tabs clamped, we just take a screwdriver under there and bend them up a little bit, and then that should hold this cover in place like it's supposed to be. As you can see, the main section did not need to get taken apart, except for the fact that it already had loose screws in it. So, alright. I also took a minute to get the two two wrenches, pliers, so that these nuts are loose for the two power connections in here. And I'm going to grab a chunk of new wire, which I did not prepare. Grommet back in on this wire too. And then on this wire, because this controller belongs in a cabinet, doesn't need a doesn't need strain relief inside the controller here, because it's going to get clamped up inside the cabinet, and that provides the strain relief if people yank on the cord too much. Sure that's nice and snugly wrapped before we start tightening our nut down. Same for the other contact here. Alright. Excellent. I didn't even think to check that before, but those are 1/4-inch nuts, so I can... Are they? Yeah. snugged in. Put our cap on and make sure that our grommets are fit on the cap. Come on. There we go. And then put these two main screws back in. These are the two screws that held the cap on, and these are the only screws you should have to remove to rewire this. And since we saw in there that the fabric insulated cable here looks good inside there, and it's got no severe damage or real visible damage through the rest of the harness, this is going to be okay. This time we're trying to run the wire in the other direction through this case. So there's up under the bottom of the case here is a big hole that this guide tube on the light fixture fits into. Try and poke the wire in through that and spot it through this hole in the back side here. And if the old wire had been any good at all, I could have possibly used it to I fished a wire through that hole. So feed our wire gently up through the first hole. And this is our mounting screw for the lamp fixture, so we'll stick that in. And then on the back side here there was this grommet. This is a Bakelite grommet to protect the wire from the case here. So I took it out and cleaned it. And now, let's see. It was a Bakelite grommet, anyhow. Did this swell up? It sure did. This swelled up. Alright, well, I guess I'm going to have to dry this out and see if it shrinks back to its old size. Because it definitely swelled up and does not fit that hole anymore. Alright, well, I guess we'll call that a stopping spot here, because even if we dry this out, I got to be able to get in there to get it threaded in, and it's not going to have room with the motor in the way, and we got to mount the motor to put the wire on the block here, I think. Well, I can get this facing the right way around. got our cover on this plug block. We gotta open up to get the old lamp wires off, and then we can put the new lamp wires on, and then we can remount the motor. So terminal 1 and 2 in here. Alright. See, the inside has these pockets and they extend down to where the wires would come in, so you need to put the cap on so that all the pockets match the back of the terminal. Two mounting screws for the motor back in. Alright, well, you can't see anything anyway, so I'll put this on and be back.